Chapter 703. Although Gu Xiaoyang complained, he did not have the guts to say it in front of Hu Chenhuan. Before the audience in the live stream could complain about Su Yiyan not live streaming for such a long time, they heard her explanation. The screen went blank for a few seconds before it exploded. What the F***CK? What did I miss? The streamer already has a small streamer. The streamer's recent live streams are a little too sweet. First, she celebrated her husband's birthday, and now she directly announced that she is pregnant. 666, the streamer even has a small streamer, but we don't even know what the streamer looks like. I cry, tisk, I don't just want to see what the streamer looks like. I also want to see what the small streamer looks like. Then I can imagine what the small streamer will look like in the future. Previous poster, please have some self-respect. The small streamer is still an embryo. Her small hands and legs haven't even grown yet, and you're already thinking about her. You're a beast. Although they said that, the audience was actually used to Su Yiyan not showing her face. The most important thing was that most people believed a previous post and thought that their streamer was a descendant of a hidden family. If she really showed her face, she might get into trouble. She might really not live stream in the future. When that time came, wouldn't they be the ones to suffer losses? Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of discussions about her baby. She knew that everyone was curious and kind about her baby, and the corners of her lips unconsciously rose a little. Ahem, okay, let's not talk nonsense. We'll start today's live stream immediately and try to finish it before my husband comes back. As soon as she said that, the screen was immediately covered with densely packed lemon comments. The first dish we're going to cook today is a famous dish called Buddha Jumps Over the Wall. In ancient Earth, someone once used a poem to describe the aroma of this dish. When the jar is opened, the aroma of meat wafts around the neighborhood. When the Buddha hears it, he abandons Zen and jumps over the wall. This is where the name Buddha Jumps Over the Wall came from. The audience was stunned for a moment. They did not quite understand the meaning of the poem. On the contrary, the ancient culture researchers who were accidentally attracted by Su Yiyan's fish-flavored shredded pork were all excited. They secretly asked questions while taking notes. The meaning of this poem is that when the jar is opened, the aroma wafts too far. When the Buddha smells it, he abandons Zen and jumps over the wall. That's pretty much it. Su Yiyan was originally worried that some people wouldn't understand. Just as he was about to explain, he saw this message. He smiled faintly and said, in ancient Earth, Buddhists advocated abstaining from meat and praying to Buddha. Abstaining from meat refers to eating vegetarian food. A large portion of the ingredients in the Buddha Jumps Over the Wall soup belong to the meat category. The general meaning of this poem is that the aroma of this dish can make people who are vegetarian break their precepts for it. With such a description, the gluttonous worms in many people's stomachs seem to have been drawn out all at once. They couldn't wait to smell what this delicacy that could make people break their rules tasted like. Streamer, will this dish be part of the lucky draw today? Lucky draw, I want to eat it. The black-faced party says that they don't want to draw the lottery. Let's bid. I'm willing to spend a year's salary to try this Buddha Jumps Over the Wall. Flies are rubbing their hands together. Maidens are willing to use their lifetime's luck in exchange for this lucky draw in the streamer's live streaming room. It's too painful to be able to smell it but not eat it. Host, will this Buddha Jumps Over the Wall soup be sold in medicinal cuisine restaurants? Is it also the host who sets the menu? Or could it be ordered freely like the braised food? Please give me a chance to spend money. Chapter 704. She had not even started cooking yet, but the viewers in the live stream room were already preparing for the lucky draw and the release of the dish in the store. Although Su Yiyan's live stream frequency was not high, and she was not as diligent as other streamers, the quality of each live stream was very high, and she had never failed. Every time one felt that her description was too exaggerated, she would be slapped in the face. Over time, they had gotten used to it. They skipped the questioning and went straight to the point. Su Yiyen muttered, "Let's draw one then. I'm going to use this dish to bribe my husband so that he won't be angry about me sneaking into the kitchen. Whether we can pass this stage today depends on this dish. I'm so jealous. Every time I feel jealous, the streamer makes me even more jealous. Lemon fruit under the lemon tree, you and I under the lemon tree." The streamer's husband must have saved all of mankind in his previous life. He made the streamer give birth to his children and make Buddha jumps over the wall for him. "I'm crying, sob sob sob, streamer, control yourself. Otherwise, the single people in the live stream room will be stuffed with dog food. I suggest that from today onwards, the streamer can only show off her baby and not her husband. If you violate this rule, we'll ask the streamer to make one more dish for us or get one more lucky draw ticket." As it turned out, Su Yiyen's fans in the live stream room were quite weird. If it had been another female streamer's live stream room, they would have lost half of their viewers if they heard the streamers saying the word husband every day and showing off their love without hiding it. Although the viewers in Su Yiyen's live stream room were jealous, they were used to it. They left a few comments to complain, but they still watched and ate. It was so delicious. Hu Chenhuan, who was originally gloomy and itching to fly home immediately, finally looked better after hearing Su Yiyen's words. Even the inexplicable scary vibe around her was restrained. Gu Xiaoyang, who was trembling in the front row, was speechless. Should he say that his young master was too easy to coax? A jar of Buddha jumps over the wall soup required dozens of ingredients, and most of these ingredients needed to be processed. This caused the preparation to be more complicated. As Su Yiyen processed the raw materials, he didn't forget to explain to everyone, before making Buddha jumps over the wall, you need to soak the shark's fin first. The shark's fin needs to be soaked for 2 days and 1 night before it can be used. After that, you still need to simmer it for a period of time. Considering that the live broadcast time is limited, I'm using shark's fin that has already been processed. Su Yiyen took out a bowl of processed shark fin and added some lemon to remove the fishy smell. Shark fins from ancient Earth contained mercury and were not suitable for pregnant women. Most of the mercury came from wastewater pollution. In this era, ecological protection was very important, so there was almost no mercury in shark fins. Relatively speaking, shark fins were more delicious and safe. The sea cucumbers and dried scallops also need to be soaked for a period of time in advance. The fish lips need to be boiled in a water pot. Add in scallion and ginger wine to remove the fishy smell and set aside. As for the abalones, they need to be steamed over a large fire in advance. Hu Chenhuan and the viewers watched as Su Yiyen took out various ingredients and spun around in the kitchen happily like a small spinning top. Su Yiyen was so busy that his feet didn't even touch the ground. They were dazzled by his actions. It took Su Yiyen more than an hour just to prepare the ingredients in the early stage. After much difficulty, he put the ingredients into the urn, sealed the lotus leaves, covered the small bowl, and placed it on the stove to simmer. Su Yiyen breathed a sigh of relief. The viewers in the live stream room also felt relieved. Chapter 705. The porcupine ginseng, pork tendons, fish lips, and fish belly have to be simmered for 2 hours before you put them in. You have to be quick when you put them in. Once you're done, you have to seal the jar immediately. Otherwise, the fragrance inside will leak out easily. After that, you have to simmer them for another 2 hours. Of course, if you have time, it's best to simmer them for a full 8 hours. That way, the taste will be even more delicious and rich. Su Yiyen looked at the time. If we start to simmer them now, we'll be able to eat them around night time. Let's leave the live broadcast until night time. We'll draw the lottery then, from 6 p.m. to 6:10 p.m. We won't wait if it's too late. The audience didn't have any objections. They weren't afraid of waiting for a good meal. It was only 7 to 8 hours. In order to eat this legendary Buddha jumps over the wall, they could wait for an entire day. Alright, Buddha jumps over the wall is done. Next, let's make some nourishing recipes that are suitable for pregnant women. Su Yiyen's clear voice pulled everyone's attention back from Buddha jumps over the wall. Those who have pregnant women in their homes should know that some pregnant women will have certain reactions during the early stages of pregnancy. Specifically, they won't be able to eat. Once they see oily things, they will feel nauseous. This period is called the early stages of pregnancy. After the early stages of pregnancy, the fetus will grow rapidly, and the pregnant woman's appetite will suddenly become vigorous. In order to provide nutrition for the fetus and nourish the pregnant woman's body, the pregnant woman needs to eat more nutritious foods that are rich in protein, vitamins, and other nutrients. The first dish Su Yiyen prepared was beef bone nourishing soup. When Su Yiyen made Buddha jumps over the wall, the beef bones had been boiled together with the soup. This time, he added onion and ginger slices to make it fragrant. Then, he added water and carrots to simmer together. Just like Buddha jumps over the wall, the beef bones needed to be simmered slowly for 3 hours before all the essence was boiled into the soup. Beef bones are the same as pork ribs. They are rich in calcium, which can nourish the kidney and nourish the marrow. It has a very good effect on the pregnant woman and the fetus, especially in the later stages of pregnancy. The fetus needs a lot of calcium to form its bones. At this time, the pregnant woman can drink more beef bone and pork rib soup. After the beef bones were boiled, Su Yiyen quickly made the second dish, Mao Shu pork. In addition to the meat, there are wood ears, vegetables, bamboo shoots, eggs, and other ingredients in Mao Shu pork. It's worth noting that it has the function of promoting blood circulation. It's best not to eat it in the first 3 months. You can eat some in the middle stage to prevent anemia. Su Yiyen said as he quickly stir-fried the various ingredients in the wok. In just a few minutes, the dish was ready. After that, Su Yiyen also made almond braised pork knuckles, sweet and sour yellow croaker, and salad. Taking time into consideration, Su Yiyen made fewer dishes today. Even so, it still managed to tempt everyone to the point of drooling. Stewed pork knuckles, fresh sweet and sour fish, and a refreshing salad of 3 shreds. Not to mention pregnant women, even ordinary people could eat a few more bowls of rice with this dish. Pregnant women had special constitutions. Su Yiyen was also worried that different people's constitutions would be different. Therefore, she used natural ingredients for most of the dishes she made today. Although it was a little expensive, most of them could be bought on the market. Other than the Buddha jumps over the wall soup, the ingredients and preparation of the dishes today are all relatively simple. For men with pregnant women at home, this was a good opportunity to perform. Pregnant women often felt unwell, and their emotions were more unstable. He learned a few things to reward his wife who had worked hard to get pregnant. You're good, she's good, everyone's good. It's also your contribution to the harmony of the family. Chapter 706. As soon as Su Yiyen finished speaking, many male viewers in the live broadcast room subconsciously looked at their hands. Thinking about it, it was quite beautiful. However, they were handicapped people who did not work hard and could not distinguish between food and vegetables. Could they really make a loving maternity meal for their wives? What if it failed and turned into a dark cuisine? If this wasn't handled properly, it might become the murder of one's wife and child. Many people were frightened by their own imagination. Hu Chenhuan, who was closely watching the live broadcast room, showed a serious expression. What's the shortest time an ordinary person takes to learn how to cook? Gu Xiaoyang was stunned for a while before he realized that Hu Chenhuan was asking him. Combined with what Su Yiyan had just said, Gu Xiaoyang's expression suddenly became subtle. Their young master was going to cook by himself. Oh my God, young master really loved young madam. But, young master, are you sure you're really going to cook and not blow up the kitchen? The manager and driver, Xiao Gu, who was deeply skeptical of his young master's ability in this aspect, twitched his mouth and said euphemistically, "This. Not necessarily, it depends on talent. Some people can learn for a few days, and some may need a few days. But for someone like young master, it was unimaginable. Please give up this dangerous idea." Hu Chenhuan was silent for a long time after hearing Gu Xiaoyang's words. Just as Gu Xiaoyang was thinking hard about how to stop the tragedy that was about to happen, a phone call suddenly came in. Gu Xiaoyang quickly switched to the automatic call link. After listening to the report, his face suddenly became gloomy. "Young master, someone is investigating young madam." Hu Chenhuan looked up, and his eyes suddenly became piercingly cold. Who? When Hu Chenhuan returned home, the nutritious beef bone soup had just been prepared. The bone marrow essence of the fully boiled beef bones had completely penetrated into the soup. The milky white bone soup was skimmed off the foam, and mixed with the fragrance of onion and carrot, it didn't smell greasy at all. It was a good choice to drink alone or eat with noodles. Su Yiyan walked out of the kitchen with a bowl of soup in her hand. When she saw Hu Chenhuan, she was frightened and a little guilty. "You're back. Lunch is ready. Let's eat first." Hu Chenhuan saw her guilty conscience and asked knowingly, "Did you do it?" "I was wrong." Su Yiyan admitted it very straightforwardly. She lowered her head slightly and looked like she was waiting to be lectured, but it made people's hearts soften. However, Hu Chenhuan saw through her thoughts at a glance. She chuckled and said, "Will you do it again next time?" Su Yiyan looked up in surprise, as if to say, "How did you know?" However, he still tried to save himself some dignity. "You said it yourself, I didn't." Hu Chenhuan didn't know whether to be angry or amused. "Then tell me, what did you do wrong? Shouldn't I have gone into the kitchen when you weren't here?" After Su Yiyan finished speaking, she quickly added, "It's just cooking, it's really easy for me. You read the test reports every day, and you know very well how my body is. I really won't tire myself out because of such a small thing." After listening to her, Hu Chenhuan sighed and lowered his head to give her a kiss as a punishment. "You shouldn't have said anything to me. You shouldn't have thought that I would be angry and stop you. If you had told me nicely, would I have stopped you?" Su Yiyan blinked and said without thinking, "Don't you know how to do it?" Hu Chenhuan. Well, he really would. Chapter 707. Of course, he wasn't stupid enough to have a direct conflict with his wife and make her unhappy. He would only ask Uncle Zhang to keep an eye on her, be on standby, and report to her at any time. Then, he would think of ways to disturb her so that she couldn't really go in and get busy. However, since Su Yiyan said it so directly, he really couldn't do anything else. "How long were you busy today?" "About 2 hours, Wang Yao said. Su Yiyan didn't forget to add, "I took a break in between. It's a balance between work and rest, so I didn't get tired." Hu Chenhuan was stared at by his wife's pitiful eyes. No matter how angry he was, he couldn't help but say helplessly, "Don't do it again." Su Yiyan blinked and pulled Hu Chenhuan's sleeve. She asked softly, "Is there really no next time? I can shorten the time and only stream for an hour." Hu Chenhuan frowned. In the end, he couldn't make up his mind. "Once a month. If it's inconvenient for you in the future, you can cancel it." Su Yiyan's eyes lit up. She tried to bargain. "Once a week. 2 weeks, deal." Hu Chenhuan. He felt like he had been tricked. However, when he saw that Su Yiyan seemed to have finally found something for herself to do, Wu Qinhuan could only helplessly swallow his words. Forget it. She should be fine at home. At the very least, he would keep an eye on her and not let her tire herself out. The cooking time of Buddha jumps over the wall was relatively long. Su Yiyan estimated that it was about time, so she turned on the live stream again. Because it was mentioned in advance that there would be a live stream at night, the number of people waiting in Su Yiyan's live stream was about the same as the one in the morning. In fact, there were even more people. Most of them were probably here to watch the fun. Countless viewers, including Wu Qinhuan, were eagerly waiting for the taste of this jar of delicious finished product. Su Yiyan first took down the overturned jar. Because it had been simmering for a long time, the lotus leaves sealed at the mouth of the jar were no longer as green as before. They had withered to a light brown color. The moment the lid was lifted, a strong aroma of wine mixed with all kinds of ingredients rushed out from the jar. It went straight into one's heart, causing one to be shocked. Sob, sob, sob. When the smell wafted out, my saliva was already drooling 3 meters away on the ground. My mother gave me a good scolding. She said that I didn't know how to clean up and only caused trouble for her. Useless. Ha 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 ha, the person above is so realistic. I can imagine the fear of being controlled by my mother. F***ck, this taste is amazing. No wonder it's called Buddha jumps over the wall. I don't know if Buddha jumps over the wall after smelling this scent. Anyway, I really want to jump over the wall and poach the streamer. I want to poach her +1. When I think about how we'll have to fight for a spot with 8 figures in a while, the host's husband will be able to sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. When I think about this, my heart feels like it's been soaked in decades of old vinegar. It's so sour that my heart is about to break apart. Everyone, let's team up and poach her. If we succeed, we'll split this jar of Buddha jumps over the wall equally. Even if we only get a drop, it'll be good. As long as we wield the hoe well, there's no corner that we can't poach. Let's go. Snatch the streamer over. Wu Qinhuan looked at the screen full of comments from the viewers who had completely lost control just by smelling the scent. They were all inviting teams to poach her. She narrowed her eyes dangerously, got up, and walked to the small kitchen. Baby, are you done? A familiar magnetic voice came from outside the screen. It also made the viewers in the live stream who were happily spamming the screen subconsciously stop what they were doing. Chapter 708. The Host's Husband. No matter how many times I hear it, I have to say it. This subwoofer, I'm dead. I'm sorry about this, baby. My phantom limbs are hard. Previous poster, please have some self-respect. Do you believe that the moderator will ban you for openly showing pornography in the live stream room? Today, I still have other people's lemons on my head. Sob, 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 this voice. I really can't control my voice. Why don't you guys poach the host while I poach the host's husband? He, there were quite a few people who had this idea. After all, there were all kinds of obsessions these days. Compared to other types of obsessions, voice obsessions were considered a very common type. We agreed to poach the host's husband together, but you guys secretly betrayed us. Are you worthy of our revolutionary friendship of watching the host's celestial love? Betray what? Isn't this the same as poaching the host's husband? You poach your husband, and I'll poach mine. We won't interfere with each other and can even help each other. Perfect. Previous poster is really clever. Mandarin is really a magical language. The same words can be broken down into different meanings. So, are we trying to poach the host's husband and wife and achieve a multi-sided sadomasochistic love? It's a little exciting just thinking about it. Pfft, After hearing what you guys said, I'm actually a little tempted, restless. JPG, okay, it's coming out soon. Su Yiyen responded and scooped out a portion of Buddha jumps over the wall as fast as she could for the lucky draw later. When she looked up, she saw that the screen was full of messages that wanted to poach her husband. She was stunned, then she said in annoyance and amusement, "Give up. My husband is made of diamond. You guys can't poach him." As soon as she said that, the group of people started to feel jealous again. Fortunately, they were not in the mood to think about how to poach Su Yiyen's husband. The Buddha jumps over the wall that had just been scooped out was very fragrant. When it entered the mouth, it was full of meaty flavor. It was fragrant but not greasy. It was soft and tender. Because there were a lot of ingredients mixed in, the various ingredients in the urn mixed with each other. There was flavor within flavor, but surprisingly, it did not feel mixed. Every time he took a bite, he could feel all kinds of different flavors exploding in his mouth, constantly stimulating his taste buds and making him addicted. For the sake of this small bowl of Buddha jumps over the wall soup, the audience, who were originally hooked by Hu Qinhuan's words, rebelled for the second time. They clamored and joined the army of poaching the streamer's fans. They decisively abandoned their new love and returned to the embrace of their old love. Many male compatriots gasped in amazement at this. Women are really fickle creatures. Seconded. There are many ingredients for the Buddha jumps over the wall soup, and it is rich in nutrients. Not only can it strengthen one's immune system, regulate one's meridians, moisturize one's intestines, and beautify one's complexion, it can also prevent and treat some cough, male diseases, and enhance one's hematopoietic function. Su Yiyen focused on the male emergency. Her face was slightly red. Unbeknownst to him, on the other end of the screen, when a person heard the words, "enhance hematopoietic function," his hands suddenly stopped moving, and his eyes suddenly narrowed. Pregnant women can eat a little of this dish, but they can't eat too much because there are some cold ingredients in it. It's not good for the pregnant woman and the baby to eat it. Also, this dish is more nutritious. Eating too much of it will cause the baby to overgrow. Many people have the wrong idea that pregnant women can eat as much as they want. Even if they can't eat, they have to force themselves to eat more because it's more nutritious for two people. But in fact, if pregnant women don't eat in moderation, it will cause the baby to grow too big. Not only will it cause the pregnant woman to be overburdened during pregnancy, but it will also be relatively dangerous during delivery. Chapter 709. Therefore, under the premise of ensuring the nutrition of the pregnant woman and the fetus, I hope that all pregnant mothers will eat a balanced diet. Don't overeat just because you have a baby in your stomach. Perhaps because she was pregnant, Su Yiyen couldn't help but say a few more words when this topic was brought up. Okay, let's do the lucky draw next. The lucky draw was very fast. In the end, the lucky 1 in a million was a female account with the ID Lucky Queen Sparkle. She lived up to her name. After Su Yiyen packed the prize and sent it out, she called Hu Qinhuan over to eat. Hu Qinhuan had already gone to the small kitchen after Su Yiyen turned off the live broadcast. She was worried that Su Yiyen would be tired after staying in the small kitchen for so long. But in fact, Su Yiyen had only been in there for less than 10 minutes. How could she not be tired? She was just curious about the main dish that her wife had specially made for her. It was rare for her to make such a time-consuming main dish. Su Yiyen used a relatively large jar to store a lot of ingredients. Su Yiyen was pregnant and couldn't eat too much. Such a large portion was definitely not enough for the two of them to finish. She immediately asked someone to send 3 portions to the Su family. Su Yiyen scooped a bowl of the remaining food for herself and Uncle Zhang. Uncle Zhang didn't expect that he would have a share. He was pleasantly surprised. He had been thinking about it since he smelled it outside. Although Su Yiyen usually cooked personally and would occasionally invite him to eat with her when she cooked too much, today's dish sounded like it was specially made for him. Even if Uncle Zhang was envious, he couldn't covet the love dinner of the young couple. He didn't expect that Su Yiyen would leave a portion for him. Su Yiyen couldn't help but laugh. These things are hard to digest. You can eat a bowl like me. This is also my first time cooking. Have a taste and see if it's delicious. After saying that, she turned to Hu Chenhuan and said, "The rest is all yours. You're responsible for eating it all." Naturally, Hu Chenhuan was more than happy to oblige. She immediately took everything inside. Young madam's culinary skills are amazing. Uncle Zhang took a sip of the soup and couldn't help but exclaim, "This is the first time I've eaten something so delicious." Su Yiyen chuckled. "I'm relieved to hear that. I was worried that I might be rusty because I haven't been in the kitchen for a while. Now that I've heard what you said, I'm confident again. After I give birth to the baby, no matter what, I can rely on this skill to earn some milk powder money for the baby." Hu Chenhuan paused and looked up at her. "I'm here. Do you still need to earn money for the baby's milk powder?" Uncle Zhang also laughed and said, "Yes, with young master here, how can young madam make money for little child? I just heard them say that this dish needs to be stewed for 7 to 8 hours. What if you're tired after spending an entire day just to eat this?" As soon as Uncle Zhang said this, Hu Chenhuan's eyes drifted over, as if to say, "See, I'm not the only one who thinks so." Su Yiyen. Well, as she felt that she would be watched more closely at home in the future. The family in the family hall was enjoying dinner happily. On the other side, the Buddha jumps over the wall that Su Yiyen had given away in the lottery also fell into someone's hands. "Did you feed the pregnant woman those dishes in the morning?" Do Tianyi looked at the luxurious dishes on the table and the thermos box and asked in a low voice, "Did she have any reaction?" "Yes, she did. She didn't have any reaction. She said, it tasted very good." Chapter 7:10. Do Tianyi nodded and reached for the bowl of Buddha jumps over the wall soup in front of him. Li Yu had specially bought this from a lucky 1 in 10 million audience members. At first, the other party was not very happy, but the reward Li Yu offered was too tempting. After weighing the pros and cons, the other party finally gave up the bowl. After the bowl arrived, Li Yu personally went to pick it up. It did not even go through the hands of the lucky audience member. After getting the bowl, Li Yu rushed back to the company as fast as he could and placed it on Do Tianyi's desk before it turned cold. "Boss." Seeing Do Tianyi move the box in front of him, Li Yu's pupils shrank and he looked nervous. Do Tianyi looked up at him and asked, "Do you want to eat it?" Li Yu really wanted to eat it. Who wouldn't want to eat something so fragrant? However, the reason why he called out to Do Tianyi so nervously was not only because he wanted to eat it, but also because he was worried that Do Tianyi would have a serious adverse reaction after eating it. "Boss, you almost went into shock after eating that cake last time." Do Tianyi's illness was not only that he would feel pain all over his body when he had an attack, but he also had to be very careful when eating things. Things that were fine for ordinary people would most likely turn into deadly poison for him. Take the exquisite little cake that they bought last time as an example. Ordinary people would only think that it was sweet and delicious and would want to eat it again after eating it. However, Do Tianyi was a death sentence. He had just finished eating the cake and was sent to the hospital because of an allergic reaction. In the end, it was just because there were eggs in the cake, and he was allergic to eggs. It was said that this Buddha jumps over the wall soup had more than 10 main ingredients and more than 20 supplementary ingredients. The ingredients were much more complicated than the previous cake. If one of the ingredients was an allergen, Do Tianyi would have to be sent to the hospital again if he ate a bite. "Why don't we get someone to test it first to confirm the ingredients inside?" And, before Li Yu could finish, Do Tianyi interrupted him with a faint smile. Are you afraid that I'll die? Liu pursed her lips, not daring to speak. There are many people in this world who want me dead, but the heavens don't seem to care about my life. They don't intend to take it back so soon. Those who thought they could outlive him had all died before him. He, who had been sentenced to death long ago, was still struggling at death's door in this world. In the last few years he had lived like a mouse, pale, haggard, rotten, and frail. He wanted to live, but he had had enough of this kind of life. He needed some pain, some stimulation, to prove that he was still alive. Get someone to test the ingredients in these dishes. At the same time, record my body condition before and after eating. Liu knew that Do Tianyi's words meant that there was no room for negotiation. He could only nod and call the accompanying medical team downstairs in advance to make preparations. Then, he watched nervously as Do Tianyi picked up a piece of abalone and put it into his mouth. Since Dun Dun had been sterilized, Ling Xiaoqi's attitude towards it had finally changed. This was reflected in the fact that Ling Xiaoqi had brought Hua Hua to the house more often. She gradually let the two dogs be alone and no longer yelled at it. Dun Dun really didn't know whether to cry or laugh about this. It had sacrificed the rest of its life in exchange for a family reunion. It had really sacrificed too much for this family. Chapter 711. You're living a good life. Ling Xiaoqi looked at Su Yin's rosy face that had become rounder in a few months and was very envious. Su Yiyan rolled her eyes at her. It's okay if you like it. I'm bored at home these days. You can move here to relieve my boredom. You can eat and drink with me every day. You can talk and laugh with me. You'll be paid as usual. In addition, I'll ask Chenhuan to send you a red packet to thank you for coming to accompany me. So good. Ling Xiaoqi's eyes lit up slightly. She was a little moved. Yes, it's so good. How about it? You'll move here today. Ling Xiaoqi pondered for a moment and shook her head solemnly. Why? Is it more leisurely to relieve my boredom than you sitting in the office and doing things? You're leisurely at home because you're pregnant. I'm not pregnant. How can I go to your house to eat and drink? Besides, if you let me accompany you to eat and drink, when you give birth to the baby in your belly, I'll grow up to be a fatty of 180 pounds. I can't find a boyfriend when I'm thin. If I become a fatty, no one will want me. Tell me, is this your purpose? Ling Xiaoqi said and made a gesture of Shishir holding her heart. You're so vicious. Pfft. Su Yiyan was amused by Ling Xiaoqi's accusation. You can't find a boyfriend. How many times have I said that I'll introduce you to my brother? Who's the one who keeps refusing? Now you say that no one wants you. Ha! Su Yiyan felt that it wasn't enough. She reached out and pulled Ling Xiaoqi's cheeks. Ling Xiaoqi struggled for a moment. She pulled Su Yiyan's hand down and rubbed her big face. How are you recently? Did that man look for you again? Ling Xiaoqi's movements paused, and then she sighed and said, yes. Then, I told him directly that I didn't want to acknowledge him, and I didn't want to go home with him. How did he react? How can he react? He didn't look too good. I could tell that he wanted to get angry, but he suppressed it in the end. He only asked me to consider it carefully. If it weren't for the information Su Yiyan had helped her investigate, she might not have been able to see through this person's true colors so quickly. But when all the motives were laid bare under the sun, Ling Xiaoqi found that some people really couldn't stand the scrutiny. No matter how good an actor was at acting, after watching for a long time, he would eventually give himself away. The only difference was whether the person watching was attentive enough and rational enough. I haven't seen him since then. It's not that he didn't come looking for me, but he was stopped by the bodyguards that Mr. was sent to protect me. Ling Xiaoqi lowered her eyes and said coldly. I didn't see him, and I don't want to see him. As soon as I saw him, I would remember how much my mother had suffered all these years. As for him, he's clearly the main culprit, yet he's living more carefree and more glamorous than anyone else. It's nauseating. That's enough. Don't be angry. Auntie Ling is watching from the heavens. I'm sure she wants you to have your own life and not be pestered by that man, used, and lost yourself. It's not worth it. Yeah. Why don't you move in with us? Su Yiyan was still worried about Ling Xiaoqi being alone. People with no bottom line were even scarier when they went crazy. Who knew what Qin Fangde would do if he was forced into a corner? Ling Xiaoqi froze when she heard Su Yiyan's words. Then, she pretended to be wise and waved her hand. No, no, no. Forget it. Living in your house. I don't want to go blind at such a young age. Chapter 7:12. Ling Xiaoqi had indeed thought about moving to avoid the limelight, but she had never considered the family Hua. Firstly, this was the Hua family after all, not the Su family. She was here to be a third wheel and disturb the couple's private life. If someone with ulterior motives spread the news, there might be rumors that would affect the couple's relationship. Second of all, she was also worried that if Qin Fangde found out that she was living in the family Hua, would he send someone to make trouble? Ling Xiaoqi was not afraid that he would make a move in the family Hua. After all, compared with the Qin family, the men in Su Yiyan's family were not easy to deal with. However, Su Yiyan was pregnant now, so the situation was special. Even if Qin Fangde did not dare to make a move in the family Hua, Ling Xiaoqi would never forgive herself if the noise scared her and caused an accident to her and the child. Hearing Ling Xiaoqi's teasing, Su Yiyan blushed and was about to lose her temper. But after thinking about it for a while, he more or less understood her concerns. He sighed and said, "Then you should be careful. I will tell Brother Junxing to let you work less overtime and go home early." As Su Yiyan spoke, she seemed to think of something and frowned. "Wait, the place where you live, does he know the location?" "Yes." "Did he go to your place to look for you?" "Yes." Su Yiyan's expression changed slightly. No, it's too unsafe. If you really don't want to move to our place, I will find you a safer house. You can move there for a while and avoid the limelight for a while." Ling Xiaoqi was a little hesitant. Won't it be too troublesome? How can it be? You don't know that when I married Chenhuan, he transferred all the shares, properties, real estate, and all kinds of other things under his name to my name. There are about 7 or 8 suites in City A alone. They are either high-end residential areas or small private buildings with courtyards. These houses are basically empty now, but they are cleaned regularly and have everything inside. When Ling Xiaoqi heard Su Yiyan's words, she was instantly jealous. "Don't say it. I will hate the rich if you continue." Pfft. Who was the one who righteously said that she would not return to the Qin family and that she did not want a penny from the Qin family? I thought that someone really regarded money as dirt. I did not expect you to hate the rich. How is it the same? How is it different? I'll say it again. What's mine is mine, and I won't take a single cent that's not mine. Actually, no matter what, you are still a member of his family. Moreover, your mother did let him down back then. It is reasonable for her to take some money from his family as compensation. Thinking of the situation when she and Ling Xiaoqi had just met, Su Yiyan's face could not help but turn cold. At that time, Ling Xiaoqi was underage and went out to do odd jobs to earn living expenses. The inspection of private shops was not very strict. They also turned a blind eye to part-time jobs like child labor. Because of Ling Xiaoqi's mother had completely cut off contact with her parents and relatives. Raising a child alone was not only tiring, but she also fell ill early. Not long after Ling Xiaoqi graduated, she fell ill and passed away not long after. In her opinion, Qin Fangde was the initiator of the tragedy of Ling Xiaoqi and her mother. Ling Xiaoqi was already very kind for not adding insult to injury. If it were her, not to mention going home with him, she might even stab him in the back and let the family bite each other. Chapter 713. Ling Xiaoqi's face darkened when she heard Su Yiyan's words. She snorted coldly and said, "Money is indeed tempting, but you also have to see how much dirty and shady business is hidden behind this large sum of money. Besides, if I really accept this hot potato, won't I have to take care of that man in the future? You can also ignore him and avenge your mother. He's heartless, but I can't not be righteous. If I really acknowledge him and take his money, can I really throw him away in the future? Even if I can really be ruthless and become as cold-blooded as him, those unrelated to me will still stand on the high ground and hold me hostage. Although I can ignore them, I feel annoyed just thinking about it." Ling Xiaoqi sighed and lamented, "This world always bullies honest people the most." Su Yiyan was startled when she heard this. Her eyes couldn't help but sting. The person in front of her didn't say it, but in reality, her heart was as clear as a mirror. She loathed Qin Fangde and the Qin family behind him. But even so, for her own sake in her previous life, she endured this disgust and returned to the Qin family, dying in the place she hated the most. Ling Xiaoqi let out a long sigh after she finished speaking. She curled her lips and said, "That's why I gave birth to a sperm. A scumbag who didn't even raise me for a day is not worthy of me taking care of him in his old age. Bah! I'm not going to make myself suffer." Su Yiyan was amused by her words, and the gloominess in her heart dissipated a lot. Yes. You're right. It's good enough that you're not cheating him to let you take care of him in his old age. Then she quickly changed the topic back to moving house. "When you go back, pack up your things and bring Hua Hua over. You don't have to bring too much. If it's too big, just throw it away. There are ready-made ones over there." Su Yiyan frowned and pondered for a moment. She was a bit distressed. "Oh, I can't remember where these houses are. I'll ask Chen Huan to send the information over in a while. But it's best if you pick one that's close to me. In this way, if something really happened, they could take care of each other." Ling Xiaoqi heard this and felt sour again. If she could, she also wanted to have so many houses that she couldn't remember where they were. So sour. I finally understand why so many girls always fantasize that they can join a rich family one day. This kind of days where they could count houses and play was really too enviable. However, it was not so easy to enter a wealthy family. Su Yiyan's family background was good and was not much different from a wealthy family's. If the difference was too great, and they had different values, they might not be able to last long, and they might not be able to dote on them like what Chenhuan doted on Su Yiyan. An ugly duckling becoming a swan. If you're envious, then let your Hua Hua quickly marry my Dun Dun. Don't be fooled by Dun Dun. It's a dog with its own private villa. It's okay if you can't be my sister-in-law. Hua Hua will definitely marry into a rich family." The corner of Ling Xiaoqi's mouth twitched. She thought to herself, no matter how luxurious a dog's house is, it's still a dog's house. Do you really think you can bribe Hua Hua and me? Naive. However, Ling Xiaoqi soon found out who was more naive. Ling Xiaoqi watched as Hua Hua moved into Dundun's villa under its warm invitation. She was like a proud queen leisurely inspecting the territory under her feet. She was so happy that she forgot about home. Ling Xiaoqi. Chapter 714. After sending Ling Xiaoqi away, Su Yiyan immediately asked her husband for the information and pictures of the properties and sent them to her. You want her to move? Yes, that man knows where she lives now. I'm worried that it's not safe for her to continue living there, so I asked her to move. Originally, I wanted her to move to our house, but he was worried that she would disturb our two-person world, so I could only ask her to move elsewhere. You seem to pay special attention to her. Su Yiyan suddenly paused and looked up at him in surprise. Are you jealous? I just feel that you seem to be particularly worried that she will return to the Qin family. Is there any special reason? Su Yiyan's heart trembled, and she couldn't help but sigh at Hua Qinhuan's keenness. I'm just worried that she will become a puppet in the hands of that man this time. She will have no choice but to become the target of public criticism. Just like what Xiaoqi said just now, he obviously didn't raise her for even a day. He only provided her with a sperm and tried to control her life, using her as a chess piece for his own interests. It's okay if it's useful, but if it's useless, he will throw her aside and let her fend for herself. This kind of person, to put it bluntly, was selfish. With such a scumbag father, even if Ling Xiaoqi didn't die in the hands of the first wife, she might not have a good end in the future. Hua Qinhuan intuitively felt that this matter was not so simple, but since Su Yiyan was unwilling to say, he didn't ask much. The whole group's shareholders' meeting will be in a few days. Several old shareholders specially invited me to attend. Su Yiyan suddenly became interested. What do they want to do? Find out the truth. Or both? Hua Qinhuan narrowed his eyes and sneered. They have enjoyed watching Hua Qihan's affairs, and it's time to do something serious. During this period of time, Hua Qihan's family was really chaotic. It was almost a small drama every 3 days and a big drama every 5 days. It was reasonable to say that outsiders like them were not qualified to ask about the private lives of their immediate superiors and partners. However, the fire in Hua Qihan's backyard had not subsided even after such a long time. Instead, he was getting more and more anxious. Many people began to wonder if a decision-maker who couldn't even manage his own family could really manage their company well and bring long-term benefits to them. Then what are you going to do? Since he has invited me so sincerely, it won't take much effort to take a look. I can also annoy Hua Qihan. Su Yiyan frowned. She felt that Hua Qinhuan was not in the right mood when she mentioned Hua Qihan. Fortunately, the two of them did not dwell on this topic for too long and quickly returned to the topic of moving. Have you decided where to move to? Not yet, but I want her to move closer so that we can take care of each other if anything happens. Then let's do it here. It's convenient and close to us. I think so too, but it still depends on whether she likes it or not. By the way, find a few more people to help tomorrow. I'm worried that a long night will bring trouble. The sooner we move, the better. Okay. It turned out that Su Yiyan, who had witnessed the tragedy of Ling Xiaoqi's previous life, was very prescient. Qin Fangde had been suppressing his anger for the past few days. He had thought that little girls of this age were the easiest to deceive. Besides, Ling Xiaoqi had not had a father around since she was a child, so she should be most eager for a father's love. As long as he played the role of a loving father, it was only a matter of time before he brought her home. Who would have thought that imagination was beautiful, but reality was cruel? Chapter 7:15. Qin Fangde didn't take the indifference the first time and the stern rejection the second time to heart. In his opinion, these were just the struggles of a child who didn't know how to react when she suddenly saw her biological father. The next time they met, the child would definitely understand and go back with him. Then, there was no then. Qin Fangde was on the verge of exploding after being rejected at the door several times in a row. Where is she? What's going on? How can such a big person evaporate into thin air? Boss, the landlord of this house said that Miss moved out last night and settled the rent with her before she left. I think she won't come back. Qin Fangde raised his eyebrows and asked coldly, where did she move to? This. The bodyguards looked at each other and didn't know what to do. Seeing this, Qin Fangde became even angrier. What are you guys doing? Didn't I ask you to keep an eye on her? Now that she has moved out, you don't even know where she moved to. It's our negligence. Something happened last night and we were led away. When we came back, the light in Mrs. House was still on. We thought. Hearing this, Qin Fangde almost jumped up and kicked them a few times. What do you think? Thought she was still inside. She just used a little trick to fool you. I spent so much money to hire you, and this is how you repay me. Trash. The leader of the bodyguards lowered his head and didn't dare to say anything. This was indeed their mistake. If Qin Fangde really wanted to hold them responsible, all of them could only bear the consequences. Qin Fangde was angry for a while, but he calmed down and asked with a sullen face, I asked you to check which company that girl is working in. Did you find it? Yes. The bodyguard wiped the cold sweat on his head. Miss is now working in an entertainment company. Qin Fangde's face darkened. Entertainment company. Star. Miss is not a star. She's just an internal staff member. Qin Fangde's face became better after hearing this. He snorted and said, what future can she have working in a small entertainment company? Having been in a high position for many years, Qin Fangde, who thought he had some status, really didn't care about a small entertainment company. He even had some prejudice against small stars in the entertainment industry. In particular, Ling Xiaoqi was still a girl. If her nephews at home found out that she was a celebrity, they might make an issue out of it. Luckily, Ling Xiaoqi was just an internal staff member and not an artist. Even so, Qin Fangde still didn't think much of it. He felt that being a small employee in an entertainment company, how could it be as relaxed and happy as being the eldest daughter of the Qin family? The bodyguards were as quiet as chickens and did not speak. Qin Fangde did not expect them to agree. What time does Xiaoqi usually get off work? Young Miss seems to get off work at 6:00 sharp recently. 6:00. The few of you, come with me to her company at 6:00 and wait outside. I don't believe that we can't find her. Qin Fangde's expression was gloomy, and his eyes faintly emitted a chill. Just as Su Yiyan and the others knew, his purpose of coming to find Ling Xiaoqi was not simple. On the surface, it seemed that he came for his daughter, but in fact, he wanted to use her as a chess piece or even a shield to temporarily resist the fierce attacks of his nephews. Chapter 7:16. In addition, he had another purpose, which was to use Ling Xiaoqi to get help for himself. When Qin Fangde first found out that he had a daughter, he was both disappointed and relieved. He was glad that he still had a descendant. Although it wasn't a son, having a daughter had its benefits. She was easy to control and would not cause trouble. If anything happened, she would have to rely on him. He did not have to worry about her escaping his control once she grew up. Most importantly, he could use her to form a marriage alliance and strengthen his bloodline. Before he came, Qin Fangde had already selected a suitable marriage partner for Ling Xiaoqi from all the young talents in Sea City. When the two of them got married, the strength of his bloodline would increase greatly. In a year or two, his grandson would be born. He was only in his early 50s now. It would not be a problem for him to stay in his current position for another 10 or 20 years. When that time came, he could hand over the company to his grandson instead of letting his nephews take advantage of it. It had to be said that although Ling Xiaoqi had never met her scumbag of a father before this, they were still connected by heart. Based on the information that Su Yiyan and Hua Jinyao gave her, she had a rough idea of Qin Fangda's thoughts. It was impossible for Qin Fangda to hand over everything that he had worked so hard to get to Ling Xiaoqi. He was a very traditional and straight man. If his son was still alive, he would never bring Ling Xiaoqi back to acknowledge her ancestors. He even felt a little uncomfortable about handing over the company to his grandson instead of his grandson. But so what? It was impossible for him to have another child in this lifetime. Without Ling Xiaoqi, he really had no hope for the rest of his life. Even so, in his eyes, whether it was Ling Xiaoqi or his illusory grandson, they were just chess pieces that he could pinch in his hand when necessary. From the beginning, he had never put them in the position of relatives, let alone father and daughter affection. If Su Yiyan knew about his thoughts, she would definitely pick up a big iron pot and hit him in the face to tell him not to touch her best friend. Hua Qinhuan went to the shareholders' meeting of the Hua Corporation. He didn't say anything when he came back, but from his expression, he seemed to be in a good mood. He was in a good mood, which meant that Hua Qihan was definitely not in a good mood. Su Yiyan was now watching this family's misfortune as a source of amusement. Every now and then, she would hear people talking about what kind of joke this family had made. However, what Su Yiyan did not expect was, Hua Xiaofeng wants to see me. Yes, Mr. Hua is downstairs right now. He said he won't go back until he sees you. Do you think we should get someone to chase him out? Because of the incident with Hua Qinhuan, Uncle Zhang did not have a good impression of Hua Qihan's family. In addition, he also knew about Su Yiyan and Hua Xiaofeng's troublesome affairs, so he politely declined this person's invitation. However, no matter how much he hated this person, he could not chase him out without asking for the owner's opinion. That was why he came up to ask Su Yiyan for her opinion. Su Yiyan reached out and touched her small belly, which was already showing a little. She thought for a moment and said in a low voice, "I'll go down to see him." Uncle Zhang was shocked. "But you, call a few more people over. Don't let him get close to me." Uncle Zhang understood and immediately went to arrange it. When Su Yiyan went down, it was quite a big lineup. 4 or 5 bodyguards in black stood in front of her. It was obvious that they were guarding against Hua Xiaofeng. Hua Xiaofeng had no time to be angry about this. Instead, he focused all his attention on Su Yiyan's belly. "You're pregnant." Chapter 717. Su Yiyan glanced at him indifferently. He was different from the high-spirited and unrestrained person he was a year ago. Hua Xiaofeng, who had lost the heir of the whole group and was embroiled in a family dispute, now looked exceptionally gloomy and dispirited. He exuded a sense of dejection from head to toe. Su Yiyan couldn't help but sigh when she saw this, but she didn't sympathize with him. If this person had a little self-awareness back then, he wouldn't have ended up like this. Su Yiyan quickly put away the astonishment she felt when she first saw him. She swaggered to the sofa opposite Hua Xiaofeng and sat down. She said indifferently, "I'm married. I have a husband and a family. Is it that surprising that I'm pregnant?" For some reason, these words pierced Hua Xiaofeng's heart, causing his face to darken. "Your belly is so obvious. I guess you're not in early pregnancy, but there's no news at all. It looks like Uncle doesn't care much about you and your child." Uncle Zhang, who had come down with them because he was worried, heard Hua Xiaofeng's words and had a fierce look in his eyes. Just as he was about to go up and scold this guy who dared to drive a wedge between his young master and young madam, he heard his young madam suddenly ask, "Are you an idiot?" The room instantly fell silent. Hua Xiaofeng was stunned for a few seconds before he asked with a dark face, "What?" "My husband didn't tell anyone because he was worried that some stupid and bad idiots would find out that I'm pregnant and come here to cause trouble and disturb my rest. As for who he's guarding against, don't you know?" Su Yiyan said as she looked meaningfully at the bodyguards around her. Her meaning was self-evident. Hu Xiaofeng couldn't help but show some anger on his face. His hands hanging by his side clenched into fists. Su Yiyan admired Hu Xiaofeng's sorry state for a while and didn't want to be long-winded with him. Did you come here today just to ask about my relationship with my husband? Does he care about me? If so, I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Our relationship is very good. Husband and wife are harmonious. Soon, we'll have a group of children. If there's nothing else, I won't keep you any longer. I'm in a special situation now and need to rest. The words, a group of children, almost accurately pierced Hu Xiaofeng's heart. Ever since he got beaten up because of Su Yiyan, that part of him had been injured. Although it could still be used, it was still a lingering illness. Regardless of men's dignity, it wouldn't be easy for them to have children in the future. Mrs. Hu did not dare to tell him. She only said that it was temporary and that he would be cured soon if he cooperated with the treatment. However, he couldn't hide the truth forever. In the end, he overheard his mother's conversation with the doctor and found out about it. At that time, he was filled with anger and wanted to tear Su Yiyan into pieces. But now, looking at the pregnant and happy Su Yiyan, he was in a trance for a moment. After losing everything and falling from the top, Hu Xiaofeng finally understood why Su Yiyan had always mocked him for being self-righteous. After losing the position of young master of the family Hu and the heir of the Hu corporation, he was nothing in the eyes of others. He didn't deserve anything. If he hadn't chosen Wen Jingping back then and followed his family's arrangement to marry Su Yiyan. Or perhaps, if he had not been so self-righteous back then, after choosing Wen Jingping, he would have apologized to the Su family properly. Then, both parties would have negotiated and peacefully cancelled the marriage. Would everything be different now? Chapter 7:18. Su Yiyan didn't know what Hu Xiaofeng was thinking. Seeing that he didn't respond for a long time, she rolled her eyes and got up to go upstairs. Wait! Hu Xiaofeng seemed to wake up from a dream and hurriedly called out to Su Yiyan. I'm here to ask you and uncle to cooperate. Cooperation. Su Yiyan widened her eyes in surprise and laughed. Why should we cooperate with you? Hu Xiaofeng choked and gritted his teeth. Doesn't uncle want the Hu group? If he doesn't want it, why would he attend the Hu group's shareholders meeting? You're well informed. Su Yiyan chuckled. So, how are you going to cooperate with us? You should have heard about what happened to our family. Hu Qinhuan looked up at Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan didn't say anything and just let him continue. My father is determined to divorce my mother and wants me and my mother to leave the marriage with nothing. It was expected, but Su Yiyan was still surprised by someone's coldness. Regardless of what Mrs. Hu was like, Hu Xiaofeng was still his son. If he were to leave the marriage with nothing, he would really become enemies with them. You don't want your mother to divorce him, or you don't want to leave the marriage with nothing. I don't want to, but I have no choice. So you want us to help you so that Hu Qihan can't divorce your mother? No. No. I've seen what kind of person he is, so I accept my fate. Su Yiyan didn't expect Hu Xiaofeng to say this. One had to know that a few months ago, this young master still looked like he had a deep grudge, as if the whole world owed him. Now he was telling her that he had accepted his fate. What did Hu Qihan do to provoke him like this? Or was he lying to her? Since you've accepted your fate, why did you come to us? What do you want to do? Like I said, I want to work with you. I'll help you get the Hu corporation, and you help me kill Hu Qihan. Su Yiyan was stunned. He looked at Hu Xiaofeng as if he was looking at a rare toy. Hu Xiaofeng seemed to be provoked by the look in her eyes. He said loudly, You don't believe me. Why should I believe you? Are we close? Hu Xiaofeng stood up, his face flushed red. Just as he was about to speak, Su Yiyan interrupted him. First of all, where does a person who has been expelled from the Hu Corporation get the courage to tell others that you can help them get the company? If it were really that easy, you wouldn't have left in such a sorry state. Hu Xiaofeng's face darkened. He opened his mouth, but was interrupted by Su Yiyan. Secondly, murder is against the law. I don't know what kind of conflict you and your father had that you would fight to the death. However, this is your business. We don't want to get involved, and we don't need to. Whether your family lives or dies, it has nothing to do with us. Finally, let's not talk about whether Qinhuan cares about the Hu Corporation, which is now riddled with holes. Even if he really wants it, you should know that even without you, he has the ability to get what he wants. In this world, there's only what he wants, and there's nothing he can't get. In that case, why should we work with you? Hu Xiaofeng listened to Su Yiyan's evaluation of Hu Qinhuan. He was angry and a little jealous. Do you trust him that much? Su Yiyan glanced at Hu Xiaofeng. Her eyes were full of indisputable persistence and pride. It's not a matter of whether I trust him or not. He's good enough. Chapter 719. Su Yiyan glanced at Hu Xiaofeng's dazed expression. She lifted her chin slightly and said coldly, if that's all you want to say, then you've finished speaking and I've finished listening. Uncle Zhang, see the guest out. Wait. Hu Xiaofeng saw that Su Yiyan was really going to leave, so he asked someone to drive him out. Finally, he became anxious. I have evidence of Hu Qihan's corruption and murder. As long as you have this evidence, you can easily take him down and take the Hu Corporation into your own hands. Taking bribes, bending the law, and killing for money. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. Since you have such evidence, why don't you make it public yourself? You said so much just now. Don't you want Hu Qihan to be doomed eternally? Hu Xiaofeng was stunned, and his hands that were hanging by his side tightened again. Even if you don't say it, I know that you can't release it. Su Yiyan saw through his thoughts at a glance. Even if you really have evidence that can make Hu Qihan fall to pieces, with your current status and personal ability, it's impossible to release it and make a big deal out of it. Moreover, it's impossible to guarantee that you won't be implicated because of this matter afterward. So, you came to us and wanted us to help you. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief and sneered. In the end, you just want to turn us into a knife in your hand and use us to kill people. Do you think Qinhuan and I are such stupid people? Even if we are, so what? Since he had been seen through, Hu Xiaofeng did not beat around the bush anymore. He simply said, I do want to use you, but isn't this good for you at all? If you want the Hu group, it's inevitable that you will overthrow my father. What I want is the inevitable result. In general, this matter has more advantages than disadvantages for you, doesn't it? Su Yiyan heard this and finally looked at Hu Xiaofeng for a while. I haven't seen you for a while, but you've grown a lot. Hu Xiaofeng's brows furrowed slightly. For some reason, his mood suddenly became somewhat complicated. So, are you going to work with me or not? Su Yiyan did not answer his question directly. Instead, he asked, what are the specifics? You only have one request, which is for Hu Qihan to die or for him to suffer a fate worse than death. I can give you all these things, but after it's done, you have to give me a sum of money so that I can take my mother away. Su Yiyan declined to comment. Hu Xiaofeng pursed his lips and continued, other than that, I want you to promise me that you'll destroy Wen Jingping's reputation. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and pretended not to know. Isn't Wen Jingping your girlfriend? You two are having an argument, and you want us, your elders, to stand up for you. If word gets out, I'm afraid that outsiders will say that we're bullying the young and taking advantage of our seniority. Hu Xiaofeng glared at Su Yiyan angrily. He did not believe that the person in front of him did not know that Wen Jingping had left him. Now that he said this, it was obvious that he wanted to see him make a fool of himself. Su Yiyan met his gaze calmly and said with a faint smile, "Don't you think you're asking for too much?" Hua Xiaofeng trembled all over. He had already tasted a little blood in his mouth. He lowered his head and was silent for a long time. Then, he reluctantly said, "I know. I know the truth about my grandparents' deaths. As long as you help me complete what I just said, I will tell you." Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed slightly. The confident expression on his face suddenly froze at this moment. Chapter 720. A strange silence spread throughout the hall. Even Uncle Zhang, who had been standing guard at the side, couldn't help but widen his eyes in disbelief. After the initial shock, Su Yiyan quickly calmed down. Her eyes were slightly cold as she frowned and said, "Grandpa, Grandma, are you talking about Chen Huan's parents? Didn't Chen Huan's parents pass away in an accident?" Hua Xiaofeng sneered and said sarcastically, "How can there be so many accidents in this world?" Even someone as calm as Su Yiyan couldn't help but feel nervous the moment she heard his words. "You mean that Chen Huan's parents didn't pass away in an accident, but were killed by someone? Who?" Hua Xiaofeng looked up at Su Yiyan and chuckled. "Are you trying to gain something without risking anything? Do you think I'm that stupid?" Su Yiyan thought to herself, "In my heart, you really are that stupid." However, she only replied, "How do I know if you're telling the truth? Whether it's true or not, you'll naturally have to investigate it yourself. Do you think you'll believe me just because I say it? I've already shown you my greatest sincerity. Now it's your turn." Hua Xiaofeng's attitude was very clear. This was already all his trump cards. If he told them now, what would he use to play with? Since they were both on guard against each other, then it would depend on whose trump card was more valuable and how much help they could provide to the other. Of course, Su Yiyan couldn't promise him too much just because of this specious statement. However, if she really rejected him, what if Hua Xiaofeng really knew something? "I can't make this decision alone. When Chenhuan comes back, I'll tell him and give you an answer then." Su Yiyan didn't reject him on the spot. For Hua Xiaofeng, this was already a good result. However, when he heard her words, he couldn't help but say out of habit, "Didn't you say that he loves you very much? Why don't you even have the right to make such a small decision? Do you still need to ask him?" Pay attention to your words. You have to ask him if he wants to cooperate with you. You don't have to ask him if he wants to reject you on the spot. Su Yiyan coldly glanced at Hua Xiaofeng and warned, "Don't forget who is begging whom now. Uncle Zhang, see them out." Hua Xiaofeng was infuriated by Su Yiyan's attitude. He didn't even wait for Uncle Zhang and the others to chase him away politely. He turned around and left. However, after he walked out of the family Hua, he seemed to have thought of something. He paused and turned around to take a deep look at the house. Many emotions flashed through his eyes. In the end, he didn't say anything and quickly left. When Hu Qinhuan found out that Hua Xiaofeng had come to his house to look for his wife, he rushed home as fast as he could. Su Yiyan was not surprised by Hua Qinhuan's early return. She smiled faintly and said, "If the boss takes the lead and skips work, what will happen if his subordinates follow suit? They won't dare." Hua Qinhuan looked Su Yiyan up and down. When he was sure that she and the children were fine, he breathed a sigh of relief. Even if they don't dare, they can't lead this bad example. As punishment, you will make dumplings with the chef at home tonight. Tomorrow, bring them to the company as an apology to the employees you stood up. Okay. Hua Qinhuan agreed without thinking. He reached out and pulled Su Yiyan into his arms. He sighed and said, "I was worried when I heard that Hua Xiaofeng came to look for you." "What are you worried about? There are so many people at home." What can he do to me? Or... Su Yiyan looked up at Hua Qinhuan and chuckled. Are you jealous that I met with him alone? Chapter 721. Although he didn't say anything about her engagement with Hu Xiaofeng, he had always been concerned about it. At that time, he was so self-conscious that he didn't even dare to say that he liked her because of his health. In the end, she was the one who took the initiative to win him over. Now, he was jealous. Really, Hua Qinhuan was exposed, and he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. He tried to change the topic. What did you talk about? Didn't they tell you what we talked about? Su Yiyan was referring to Uncle Zhang and the bodyguards at home. In addition to protecting her, these people also reported her situation at home to Hua Qinhuan in detail every day. Su Yiyan knew that he was worried about her, so she didn't reject it. Hua Qinhuan was silent for a moment and whispered, I want to hear it from you. Actually, we didn't talk about anything. It's just, Su Yiyan simply repeated what Hua Xiaofeng said and asked curiously, what did Hua Qihan do to make Hua Xiaofeng angry? He actually forced Hua Xiaofeng to come to us for cooperation. I've lived a long life. It had to be said that Hua Xiaofeng suddenly came to them to talk about cooperation. Su Yiyan was indeed a little scared. She couldn't tell what was wrong. She just felt that she had been following the family drama for a long time with great interest. She didn't know why she suddenly missed several episodes. When she watched again, she couldn't understand a lot of things. A cornered dog will do something desperate. A cornered dog will do something desperate? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. What did he do? He drove Hua Xiaofeng and his mother out and hired a group of people to assassinate them. Su Yiyan was shocked. She thought that it was shocking enough to hear Hua Xiaofeng say that he wanted to cooperate with them to kill Hua Qihan. She didn't expect, is he crazy? No matter what, Hua Xiaofeng and his mother are still his wife and children. Even if he no longer has feelings for them, he doesn't have to kill them all. Hua Qinhuan was actually a little confused about this matter. Based on her understanding of Hua Qihan, it stood to reason that he would not be so ruthless. If he really had such courage, he wouldn't have been stuck in the same spot all these years and led the Hua Corporation to rely on its original assets. Wait, Su Yiyan frowned. Could it be that what Hua Xiaofeng said was true? He really has evidence of Hua Qihan's crimes. This is the only explanation. When Su Yiyan said this, he subconsciously raised his head and glanced at Hua Qinhuan. He deliberated and said, actually, other than what I just said, he also said something else. What? He said that he knew the truth behind your parents' death. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, Hua Qinhuan's face darkened at a speed visible to the naked eye. Su Yiyan's heart trembled. She braced herself and asked tentatively, Uncle, didn't Dad and Mom die in an accident? No. Unexpectedly, although Hua Qinhuan's expression was ugly, he still answered Su Yiyan's question. Their car was tampered with. Su Yiyan was shocked. Tampered with? Who was it? Hua Qinhuan shook his head. At that time, his parents had died one after another, and the whole family was in a mess. He himself was in such a terrible state that he had no energy to investigate whether the tragedy was an accident or man-made. When he recovered a little and realized that there was something fishy about it, the relevant traces had basically been erased. The dead told no tales. Chapter 722. If it weren't for the clues in the test report, perhaps even he himself would think that it was an unavoidable accident. Su Yiyan couldn't help but reach out to hold his hand and comfort him. It's okay. We'll find it sooner or later. Then he thought of Hua Xiaofeng's words. Does Hua Xiaofeng really know something? Before you came back, I didn't know much about this matter. I didn't refuse or agree to his good intentions. I only said that I would discuss it with you when you came back. Do you want to ask him? Hu Chenhuan's eyes flashed slightly, and he nodded. I'll deal with this matter. You just focus on taking care of the baby. I'm here for you. Su Yiyan knew that Hu Chenhuan didn't want him to be involved in this matter, so he didn't continue to ask and nodded obediently. Hu Chenhuan smiled slightly and touched Su Yiyan's face, which had finally gained some weight. There was a smile in his eyes. By the way, my uncle is coming back. Your uncle? Su Yiyan blinked and looked surprised. When? In a few days, he may come to see you. See me? Su Yiyan's heart suddenly thumped, and he looked flustered. Do I need to prepare anything? Is there anything your uncle doesn't want to talk about? Do I need to pay attention to anything? Don't be nervous. He's just coming to see you. He won't do anything to you. Su Yiyan wasn't comforted at all. Instead, he stared at Hu Chenhuan for a long time and said carefully, Are you not on good terms with him? Hu Chenhuan was slightly stunned. Why do you ask? You haven't mentioned him before. The last time you mentioned him, you didn't seem to want to talk about it. Hu Chenhuan was silent for a long time after hearing that, and then he said in a hoarse voice, It's not that we don't have a good relationship, but there are some contradictions. Contradictions. My uncle was originally a special member of a special department who specialized in dangerous work. Most of the people he came into contact with were the most vicious people in the world. The only time Hu Chenhuan mentioned her uncle in front of Su Yiyan was when she was worried that Hai-Yi Entertainment would maliciously compete with Luo Baoging and his wife in order to suppress Dong Qing. At that time, when Hu Chenhuan mentioned him, although it was only a few words, Su Yiyan still felt that this uncle whom he had never met before was not a simple person. He just didn't expect him to have such an identity. Back then, when my parents passed away, he rushed back as soon as he received the news and gave me a document. Information. Yes, it was this document that let me know that my parents didn't die in an accident. Then, my uncle tried his best to find out the truth, but he accidentally discovered that his enemy seemed to be involved in this matter. Su Yiyan was stunned, and immediately understood what Hu Chenhuan meant. Due to the special nature of her uncle's profession, it was inevitable that he would provoke some terrible enemies. These enemies couldn't do anything to him, so it was very likely that they would make a move on his family. I was young at that time, and because of what happened to my parents, I was quite depressed. After I found out about it, I had a one-sided argument with him. When Su Yiyan heard this, she hugged his waist and curled up in his arms, trying to give him warmth with her body temperature. When the family Hu's accident happened, Hu Chenhuan was only in his teens. He suddenly lost his parents, and not long after, he found out that his parents' tragedy was most likely caused by another relative. It was a double blow. Chapter 723. Hu Chenhuan hugged Su Yiyan back and sighed. I blamed him for my parents' deaths and thought that he was the one who killed them. Later, he quit his job and went abroad alone. Maybe he knew that I hated him, so he never came back. Hu Chenhuan lowered his head and met Su Yiyan's distressed gaze. He said self-mockingly, Do you think I'm being unreasonable? Obviously, you can't blame him for this at all. Not to mention that they couldn't be sure whether this matter was really caused by the enemies of Hu Chenhuan's uncle. Even if it was, they shouldn't blame Hu Chenhuan's uncle. Hu Chenhuan also knew this, so he regretted it after he calmed down. However, at that time, there was already a psychological problem. It was as if he had walked into a dead end and blindly went into a dead end. He thought that if his uncle wasn't in this line of work, he wouldn't have provoked these people. Would his parents and even himself not be the target of their revenge? Later, when he realized that he couldn't blame his uncle, he thought that if they hadn't rushed back to celebrate his birthday, those people wouldn't have found the opportunity to assassinate them. His uncle was responsible for his parents' deaths, but how could he not be responsible? When Su Yiyan heard his words, she immediately remembered what Uncle Zhang said to her that day. She subconsciously tightened her arms around Hu Chenhuan. You didn't do anything wrong. Uncle didn't do anything wrong. The people who are wrong are those who murdered your parents. Don't torture yourself with other people's mistakes. This will only fuel their arrogance and make the people who love you sad. Hu Chenhuan was silent for a long time after hearing this. Then he chuckled and said, You're right. You just said that he never came back after he went abroad. Then the hotel you mentioned last time, Uncle's businesses are mostly overseas, but they cover a wide range. He also cooperates with domestic companies. And the hotel isn't the only business under his name. The people I sent to protect Luo Baoging were basically his people. Hu Chenhuan paused and said in a low voice, after he resigned, he took most of his men with him. However, he trained another group of people to protect me. Su Yiyan was stunned. He's worried that those people will come back to take revenge if they know that you're not dead. Yes. Su Yiyan was worried that the uncle and nephew didn't have a good relationship and that she would be stuck in the middle. Now, it seemed that one was still worried about his nephew even when he was hiding abroad. Even if he was blamed, he still put his nephew's safety first. In fact, the other one had long regretted his actions. However, after such a long time, coupled with his pride, he didn't know how to break the deadlock. How about this? When Uncle comes back, I'll personally cook a welcome banquet for him. Everyone can have a meal together and talk. They were all family, how could there be any overnight grudges? It's been so long. It's time to let it go. Su Yiyan suddenly asked, Your mother's relationship with your uncle should be good, right? Yes, they have a good relationship. That's right. If your mother was still here, she wouldn't want to see the two of you like this. Hu Chenhuan's eyes flickered. She replied in a low voice, Yes. Then it settled. Go and ask your uncle if he has any favorite dishes. Or what flavor of food he likes. I'll prepare them in advance. Chapter 724. Su Yiyan said this deliberately to give Hu Chenhuan a reason to take the initiative to talk to his uncle. Hu Chenhuan knew this, but she didn't say anything. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows, but she didn't intend to let him go so easily. What? I'm pregnant now, and my body is cumbersome. Can't I order you around? She pretended to be angry, but she didn't forget to use the baby in her belly to add weight. She was really a clever little girl. Hu Chenhuan looked at her and the corners of his lips curled up slightly. He did not remember to hesitate or be in a difficult position. Naturally, he agreed to any request. Okay. I'll ask when I have time. No, I want to know my uncle's preferences tomorrow. If you can't complete the task, you'll sleep in the guest room tomorrow night. In order to prevent someone from disobeying, Su Yiyan went all out. Sure enough, when Hu Chenhuan heard the words, sleep in the guest room, her eyes turned cold, and her face became serious. Okay, honey. I promise to complete the task. That's more like it. Su Yiyan nodded with satisfaction. When she was about to say something, Hu Chenhuan's phone suddenly rang. Hu Chenhuan glanced at the screen, and her eyes flashed. She picked up the phone in front of Su Yiyan. After a few words, Hu Chenhuan's face darkened quickly. What's wrong? Hu Chenhuan hung up the phone. Ling Xiaoqi. Something happened. What? Slow down. Ling Xiaoqi was still in shock. When she got out of the car with a pale face, she saw Su Yiyan running out with an obvious belly. Hu Chenhuan was beside her, anxiously protecting her to prevent her from falling. Yen, Ling Xiaoqi seemed to have found her backbone and took the initiative to hug Su Yiyen. Su Yiyen saw that Ling Xiaoqi came back safe and sound with her own eyes. She was relieved, but she still said nervously, "I heard from Chenhuan that the man went to find you and had a conflict with you. Are you hurt anywhere?" Ling Xiaoqi let go of Su Yiyen and shook her head. "I'm fine. I'm not hurt. This time, thanks to someone's help, I'm fine. I didn't suffer any losses." Hua Chenhuan was worried about Su Yiyen's health, so she reminded her, "It's cold at night. Let's talk inside." Yes. Let's talk inside. Are you scared? I'll ask the kitchen to prepare some calming tea for you. Why don't you stay here for the night and go back tomorrow morning? As Su Yiyen spoke, he was about to pull Ling Xiaoqi inside when he unexpectedly saw a familiar figure. President Ning. The man who came out from the other side of Ling Xiaoqi's car was actually the young master of the Ning family, Ning Xiyuan. How did you? Ling Xiaoqi saw Su Yiyen's reaction and knew that they did know each other. She said embarrassedly, Yen. He helped me just now. Him. Su Yiyen's eyes widened in surprise. He couldn't understand how these two people were related. A few minutes later, a group of people sat in the living room of the family Hua's old house and listened to Ling Xiaoqi talk about what happened not long ago. At that time, it happened too suddenly. Those people suddenly pounced on me, and I was also shocked. Fortunately, the bodyguards reacted quickly and surrounded me in time to protect me. But he brought too many people with him. The bodyguards had to stop them and protect me at the same time. It was really not easy. Fortunately, Mr. Ning appeared in time and helped to drive them away. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. Chapter 725. That's too much. Su Yiyen had expected that someone would shamelessly snatch her away if pushed too far. However, she was still infuriated by someone's shamelessness. They dared to snatch people so brazenly in front of so many people. Are they sure that the Qin clan is omnipotent and no one can do anything to them? Su Yiyen was so angry that Hua Chenhuan was beside her to calm her down. She was afraid that she would lose her head in anger and hurt herself and the child in her belly. She quickly changed the topic to Ning Xiyuan. President Ning, what brings you to East City today? I'm here to look for Chiroe. He's been busy with work these days and hasn't been home for a few days. My parents are worried that he's recovering from a serious illness and can't take it, so they asked me to take the time to visit him. I didn't expect to see Miss Ling surrounded by a group of people when I arrived at your company's parking lot. Ning Xiyuan didn't expect that the person he saved would know Su Yiyen. Later, when he heard Ling Xiaoqi say that she wanted to call Su Yiyen, he realized that he had saved a friend of an acquaintance. I see. Su Yiyen was both angry and relieved. She sighed in relief and said, President Ning, thank you so much for your help this time. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened to my friend. Miss Su, you're too kind. This is what I should do. Even if it was just a stranger who encountered such a situation, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing, not to mention that Miss Ling is your friend. You've helped our family so much before. You're our benefactor. It's my honor to be able to help you now. Su Yiyen knew that Ning Xiyuan was talking about Ning Chiroe's illness and his own asthma. She laughed dryly and felt a little guilty. After all, when she decided to treat them in the first place, her intentions weren't that simple. Ling Xiaoqi was surprised and confused when she heard Ning Xiyuan's words. Why did it sound like Su Yiyen had helped their family a lot? Well, no matter what, I still want to thank you. I owe you a favor. If you need anything in the future, as long as it's within my power, just let me know. Ning Xiyuan's eyes lit up. Su Yiyen's promise was more sincere than any gratitude. Su Yiyan thought about it carefully and still felt a little scared. He did this because he was driven to desperation and didn't care about anything else. You'd better not go out for the next few days. Fortunately, President Ning was here today. Otherwise, you would probably be on your way to Sea City by now. Yeah. When Ling Xiaoqi thought of Qin Fangda's hideous and ugly appearance when he shed all pretense of cordiality, she felt somewhat upset. Although her mother had never hidden anything about Qin Fangda, and she didn't have a good impression of her father since she was young, her imagination was still a little different from reality. Seeing this person's true appearance with her own eyes, Ling Xiaoqi was still a little shocked, and she felt a little uncomfortable. What kind of monster did her mother encounter back then? Su Yiyan could roughly guess what was on her mind when she saw her expression. She secretly cursed that some scum really didn't deserve to be a parent. Let's not talk about him. I'm afraid you've had quite a scare today. Sleep well tonight and you'll be fine when you wake up tomorrow. Su Yiyan paused and said coldly, "You don't have to worry about that man. Since he dared to do this, he can't blame us for being rude to him." Yeah. A cold light flashed in Ling Xiaoqi's eyes. What he did today, if we call the police, can we arrest him? Chapter 726. Su Yiyan was stunned. He didn't expect Ling Xiaoqi to be so resolute that she wanted to send someone to the police station. Unfortunately, I'm afraid it's a little difficult. You're related to him by blood after all. If you really call the police, he can say that he had a conflict with a rebellious child. Although his behavior is a little extreme, it's understandable. It's also difficult for the people there. In the end, they can at most treat it as a family dispute and mediate. They won't really do anything to him. Nowadays, girls walking on the road were robbed by human traffickers. After being caught, they would lie and say that they mistakenly thought that the other party was their girlfriend to get away with it. Not to mention that Ling Xiaoqi and Qin Fangda were father and daughter by blood. As long as they didn't kill each other, it would be difficult to report or manage. Ling Xiaoqi actually knew this, but she was a little unwilling. Some parents were not as reliable as strangers. She knew that the other party was here to harm her. Just because they were related by blood, she was completely in a passive state. How unfair was that? However, since she had asked such a question, it could be seen that she really wanted to draw a line with the other party completely. Okay, don't be angry. Although we can't call the police to arrest him, it's not impossible to make him suffer if you really want to. You've been frightened today. Have a good rest first. Tomorrow, we'll have a good discussion and help you vent your anger. Okay. Su Yiyan saw that she gradually calmed down and smiled faintly. You can stay with us tonight and go back tomorrow. Ling Xiaoqi shook her head. No, I've moved out. He doesn't know where I live now. Besides, Hua Hua is still at home. I don't feel at ease leaving it alone at home. Then you be careful alone. Su Yiyan said and turned to look at Hua Qinhuan. Hua Qinhuan immediately understood. I'll call a few more people to guard you. Don't worry. Ling Xiaoqi's heart was warmed. She nodded and accepted the couple's kindness. Ling Xiaoqi got up to leave. Ning Xiyuan also stood up. I should go back to find Chiroe, so I won't bother you anymore. The group of people left the family hall one after another. Su Yiyan's gaze followed them all the way out. From afar, she saw that Ning Xiyuan seemed to have said something to Ling Xiaoqi, and the two of them got into the same car just like how they came. Su Yiyan. What's wrong? Hua Qinhuan noticed that Su Yiyan had been staring at them with a strange expression. Do you feel that Ning Xiyuan's attitude towards our Xiaoqi isn't right? Is there? No. The two of them stared at each other for a while before Su Yiyan coughed softly and said, "Maybe it's just my imagination." Although she said that, Su Yiyan's sixth sense had already begun to warn her. She felt that something important was gradually leaving her. Qin Fangde didn't manage to kidnap Ling Xiaoqi and go back to Sea City with him. He also understood that after this incident, the so-called illusion of fatherly love and filial piety in his heart was completely shattered. After returning to the hotel, he lost his temper and smashed everything in his room. He also asked someone to find out who Ling Xiaoqi's bodyguards and the man who ran out to help in the end were. He had already checked. Ling Xiaoqi was single and had been living a hard life with her mother these years. It was impossible for her to know anyone with a big background. Why did so many special factors suddenly appear that he couldn't control? It was really disappointing. Chapter 727. Qin Fangde would never have guessed that it was not that Ling Xiaoqi did not have friends who could protect her, but that she had been used to relying on herself all these years and rarely asked for help from friends. She had known Su Yiyan for so long, but the only time she had asked her for help was when her mother had suddenly fallen ill and needed to be hospitalized for surgery. Unfortunately, even though she had borrowed money from Su Yiyan, her mother had passed away not long after the surgery. Not long after that, Ling Xiaoqi quickly pulled herself together and worked hard to earn money. Finally, she managed to repay all the money she owed Su Yiyan before she returned to China. Qin Fangde had yet to achieve his goal, and he was in a state where he could explode at any time. He was even thinking about how to forcibly bring her home. However, his ideas were destined to never be put into practice. When Qin Fangde sent someone to investigate Ling Xiaoqi and Ning Xiyuan, a phone call from City C ruined all his plans. No one knew what was said on the other end of the phone call. All they knew was that Qin Fangde rushed back to City C that very night and was flustered to deal with all kinds of attacks from his nephews. Even if he managed to hold on, he would definitely be severely injured. It would be impossible for him to cause trouble in front of Ling Xiaoqi in a short period of time. Su Yiyan was very satisfied when she found out. It was fine if Qin Fangde stayed obediently in City C, but if he dared to touch City A again, she would be the first to chop off his claws, even without Hu Chenhuan. After chasing Qin Fangde back to City C, Su Yiyan's hanging heart was temporarily at ease. She focused on preparing for Hu Chenhuan's uncle's welcome banquet. Hu Chenhuan's uncle's surname was Xing, and his name was Xing Qianyang. He looked to be in his early 50s, and he was a very handsome and familiar man. The moment Su Yiyan saw him, she understood why her mother had always said that her nephew was Uncle Xiao. Xing Qianyang looked like a middle-aged version of Hu Chenhuan. The two of them were at least 60 to 70% alike. However, compared to Hu Chenhuan, this powerful figure, who had properties all over the world and had once worked in a special department, looked more weathered and dignified. Just by standing there, his entire body was filled with a chilling aura that kept people thousands of miles away. Hu Chenhuan would never act like this in front of her. Therefore, in Su Yiyan's eyes, the original 60 to 70% resemblance between the two of them was only 50%. While Su Yiyan was sizing up Su Yiyan, Xing Qianyang was also very curious about his niece-in-law. Yan, right? Hello, I'm Chenhuan's uncle. If you don't mind, you can also call me uncle. Su Yiyan could see Xing Qianyang's restraint. She guessed that he still hadn't gotten over what had happened that year. In front of Hu Chenhuan, there was always some awkwardness and helplessness. She smiled and said obediently, "Hello, uncle. It must have been hard on you. I specially prepared some food, but I don't know if it's to your liking. It's not early now. Why don't we have a meal first? We can talk later." When Xing Qianyang heard Su Yiyan's words, he was also stunned. He couldn't help but remember that Hu Chenhuan had suddenly sent him a message a few days ago, asking if he had any special preferences. At that time, Jing Qianyang was pleasantly surprised and at a loss. He couldn't figure out what Hu Qinhuan's intention was. Later, he suddenly remembered that the people around Hu Qinhuan seemed to have mentioned that his niece-in-law often cooked and was very good at it. He could roughly guess who had asked him to ask this question. Chapter 728. However, Jing Qianyang wasn't very particular about food. In addition, he was usually busy with work and basically drank nutrient solutions with his subordinates, so he casually replied. He thought that Hu Qinhuan was just asking casually, but now, listening to his niece-in-law's tone, it seemed like she had really specially prepared a welcome banquet for him. Uncle Zhang saw the embarrassment and awkwardness of the uncle and niece. When he heard Su Yiyan's words, he smiled and said, "Young madam's culinary skills can't even compare to the family's chef. Mr. Zhang is in for a treat today." Uncle Zhang was an old man who had served the family Huo for many years, so he naturally knew Jing Qianyang. Hearing him say this, Jing Qianyang's inexplicably tense expression finally relaxed a little, and he replied in a low voice, "Yes." What Jing Qianyang didn't know was that his casual reply back then had only been conveyed to Su Yiyan by his straight-laced nephew. He was not picky about food. This perfunctory reply made Su Yiyan so angry that she laughed. In a fit of anger, she sent Hu Qinhuan to sleep in the guest room for 2 days. Hu Qinhuan, who had been alone in an empty room for 2 days and hadn't slept well, looked at the big table of dishes and Jing Qianyang's gaze, which faintly revealed a deep and cold light. Jing Qianyang. Jing Qianyang, who was inexplicably despised, would never have thought that his tragedy stemmed from a casual remark he made a few days ago. He only thought that Hu Qinhuan's attitude toward him was because she still couldn't let go of what happened in the past, so he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed and sad. Soon, Jing Qianyang didn't have the energy to be sad and think about the depressing past. The most distressing thing in the world was the word casual. Su Yiyan hesitated for a few days, and when she thought about balding, she finally decided to bring out the almighty Mandarin duck hot pot. Unlike Hu Qinhuan, this was the first time that Jing Qianyang had seen such a novel way of eating. Pointing at the billowing two-colored soup base, he asked curiously, This is called hot pot. It's a type of food from ancient Earth. The red and white soups had different tastes, so the cooked food would naturally taste different as well. Because I didn't know your taste in advance, and I didn't know your preferences and taboos, I prepared this. I hope you don't mind. Of course, another main reason was that Hu Qinhuan couldn't bear to see Su Yiyan running around with a big belly. It didn't take much time or effort to prepare a table full of dishes. The most suitable dish was hot pot. Su Yiyan had made hot pot once before. At that time, they didn't have a double hot pot, so they could only split it into 2 pots and cook it together. Later, when she saw that Gu Xiaoyang and the others liked to eat hot pot, she mentioned that they could organize department gatherings from time to communicate. The best way to have a meal together was to eat hot pot. It was convenient to satisfy most people's tastes. For convenience, they could make a double hot pot like this. The 2 flavors could be combined into 1 pot, and a table full of rich flavors could be eaten in 1 pot. When Gu Xiaoyang and the others heard Su Yiyan's words, they were very excited. When they went back, they asked people to prepare several double hot pots for them. They planned to buy ready-made hot pot base from the restaurant in the future for team building. Of course, they didn't forget to send 1 hot pot over. The double hot pot on the table was sent by Gu Xiaoyang and the others. Su Yiyan demonstrated how to eat hot pot in front of Jing Qianyang. She also mentioned that a few dishes didn't need to be cooked for too long, and that they wouldn't taste good if they were too old. Then, she let him do it himself. Jing Qianyang watched for a while and then joined the hot pot team in high spirits. He learned how to cook all kinds of ingredients by himself. Chapter 729. As it turned out, people who looked like each other might have similar tastes as well. Hua Qinhuan liked to eat spicy food, so she usually only ate the spicy side of the hot pot. Jing Qianyang was the same. At first, he was a little resistant to the bright red spicy hot pot and only ate the clear soup side. Later, he saw that his nephew kept eating the chili oil side. He hesitated for a while and tried to cook a piece of tripe in the chili oil side. At first, he was a little uncomfortable when it entered his mouth. After drinking a few mouthfuls of water, he felt that although the taste was stimulating, the aftertaste was quite strong. Out of curiosity, Jing Qianyang tried a few more mouthfuls. The result was predictable. After experiencing the wonders of the chili oil, a certain someone no longer reached for the clear soup. He ate until he was sweating, but his hands did not slow down at all. Su Yiyan saw this scene and felt that the uncle and nephew were more and more alike. She could not help but smile a little more. Jing Qianyang ate for a while and looked up at the two people opposite him. His expression was a little absent-minded for a moment. Su Yiyan was pregnant and could not eat spicy food, so she could only eat the clear soup. Hua Qinhuan watched her from the side and even helped her cook. Sometimes, she would even feed her. Occasionally, Su Yiyan would covet the other side and stare at Hua Qinhuan for a while, and Hua Qinhuan's heart would soften. She would cook one or two things and put them in her bowl to mix with the clear soup. When it was less spicy, she would bring it to Su Yiyan's mouth and watch her eat. One was very happy to be fed, and the other was also very happy to be fed, completely forgetting that there was another person at the table. Jing Qianyang looked at the two of them and could not help but think of when his sister and brother-in-law were still alive. His brother-in-law also took care of his sister in everything. No matter what he did, he would remember to take care of his sister first before thinking of himself. The two of them had a very good relationship, so every time he visited, he felt relieved and envious. He always hoped that one day he could have such a happy family. Unfortunately, all of this was ruined because of him. Uncle. When Su Yiyan finished eating, she looked up and saw that Jing Qianyang was in a daze and had not moved his chopsticks for a long time. She asked nervously, "Is it not to your liking? Do you want the kitchen to make something else?" Jing Qianyang seemed to have woken up from a dream. No, this hot pot is delicious. It's the first time I've eaten something so delicious. Especially the red side. I wasn't used to it at first, but now I think it's getting better and better. Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh when she heard what he said. Chili was something that could be grown quickly. The research institute had already planted a batch of them, and they tasted similar to the ones from Su Yiyan's farm. However, it would take some time for it to be on the market. This should be Jing Qianyang's first time coming into contact with such a thing. His reaction was similar to that of Hua Qinhuan. It seems that uncle's taste is similar to Qinhuan's. He also likes spicy food. As soon as she said this, the two men at the dinner table were stunned. Their eyes inadvertently met, and there seemed to be something that wasn't there before. Su Yiyan pretended not to see it. She smiled and reminded them, "Although this chili oil soup is delicious, you can't eat too much. It's easy to get heaty. Uncle, remember to drink some of this 3-flower tea later. It's good for cooling down." When Jing Qianyang heard this, he was even more touched by Su Yiyan's thoughtfulness. He was also happy that his nephew had good taste and married such a considerate wife. With Su Yiyan mediating between them, the atmosphere at the dinner table gradually warmed up. Jing Qianyang also had some confidence to ask about the two situation. "How old is the child?" "Almost 6 months. Do you know whether it's a boy or a girl?" "I don't know yet." Chapter 730. Su Yiyan turned to look at Hua Qinhuan and smiled. We all think that it's the same whether it's a boy or a girl. Just let nature take its course. Xing Qianyang nodded. He had just asked casually and did not mean anything else. It was fine as long as the two of them knew what they were talking about. By the time Xing Qianyang arrived, it was already dark. It was already late after dinner. Su Yiyan knew that Xing Qianyang had a house in the city, but it was a little far from where they lived. Even if he went back now, the house might not have been cleaned beforehand for him to move in immediately. Hence, he took advantage of the situation and invited Xing Qianyang to stay at his house. They would be under the same roof and they would see each other frequently. Sooner or later, he would be able to resolve the awkward relationship between the two of them. Xing Qianyang did not intend to stay, but when he heard that Su Yiyan wanted him to stay temporarily, he subconsciously glanced at Hu Chenhuan. Seeing that he didn't object, she unexpectedly agreed as if she was at the mercy of gods and devils. Considering that Xing Qianyang must be tired from the long journey, Su Yiyan asked Uncle Zhang to take him upstairs to rest after dinner. Uncle Zhang was obviously very happy with Xing Qianyang's arrival. The smile on his face did not fade at all. He led Xing Qianyang to the guest room that had been prepared beforehand. Uncle Zhang did not forget to smile and say, "This is the room that young master and young madam specially prepared for you. The basic daily necessities are all in there. If you need anything else, you can let me know. I will do my best to help you." Thank you for your hard work." "You're welcome, sir. If there's nothing else, you should rest early." Xing Qianyang nodded. Just as he was about to close the door, he heard Uncle Zhang call out, "Sir. Is there anything else?" Uncle Zhang looked at the familiar yet somewhat unfamiliar man who had been away from home for more than 10 years. He said sincerely, "Welcome home." Xing Qianyang's whole body trembled, and he subconsciously tightened his grip on the door handle. His eyes revealed a rare hint of emotion. Xing Qianyang was no stranger to the guest room of the family Hu mansion. When Hu Chenhuan's parents were still alive, he often stayed over. Even when Hu Chenhuan was just born, there was a period of time when the two adults were rather busy. Moreover, due to their old age and lack of energy, he was the one who helped take care of her. Xing Qianyang walked around the room, and his gaze suddenly fell on the photo placed on the bedside table. It was a group photo of the four of them. The corners of the photo were slightly yellowed. It should have been found recently and seen the light of day again. The four people in the photo were Hu Chenhuan's parents, Hu Chenhuan when she was still a child, and himself when he was young. This photo was taken on Hu Chenhuan's 5th birthday, and it was also the only photo of the four of them. He didn't expect it to be found and placed in this room. Looking at the photo, Xing Qianyang thought about the peaceful dinner tonight and the words Uncle Zhang had said before he left. The mask on Xing Qianyang's face was peeling off bit by bit, and his eyes reddened uncontrollably. After an unknown period of time, a vague and hoarse voice vaguely came from the spacious but dense room. "Sister, brother-in-law, I'm back." Xing Qianyang was a little emotional because of the photo in the room. Little did he know that in another room about 10 meters away from him, his nephew was also being criticized and educated by his wife. "You behaved badly today. I have to educate you properly." "How did I behave badly today?" Hu Chenhuan didn't have the good virtue of knowing that she was wrong. She even slyly leaned over to Su Yiyan and kissed her. She said meaningfully, "Also, how are you going to educate me?" Chapter 731. Su Yiyan blushed and glared at Hu Chenhuan angrily. She was determined not to be seduced by a certain someone's beauty. "What did I tell you before? It's rare for uncle to come, so we have to treat him well. Besides, you were also at fault for what happened back then. You're a junior, so you have to speak first to ease the tension." "But you..." Su Yiyan snorted coldly. She was a little angry. When Jing Qianyang came today, Hu Qinhuan held back for a long time and didn't say more than 3 words. She was the one who dealt with it the whole time. Did this uncle belong to her alone? She really couldn't have this husband anymore. Hu Qinhuan also knew that she was in the wrong. She touched her nose awkwardly and said, I also wanted to speak first, but. Hu Qinhuan was silent. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and said, You can't speak. Hu Qinhuan felt guilty under her gaze. He coughed softly and said, He doesn't seem to want to talk to me, but he has a lot to say to you. Su Yiyan was very familiar with this sour tone. She almost laughed out of anger. She hadn't even said anything, but this guy was actually blaming her. Look at your cold face, as if someone owes you millions. Who wouldn't be afraid in front of you? Su Yiyan couldn't help but roll her eyes. She said in disappointment, Besides, uncle is an elder. Do you expect him to apologize to you first? Or are you still blaming him in your heart, thinking that he harmed your parents? No. Then why are you still like this? Hu Qinhuan pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Su Yiyan guessed his thoughts. Sometimes, the more you don't speak, the more you can't speak. If you lack the opportunity and courage, you can't kick the door open. You can only wait. Can't you be a good role model for our baby? It's fine if it's a girl, but if it's a boy who's as pretentious and two-faced as you, which girl will be willing to marry him in the future? Hu Qinhuan stared blankly for a moment, then said proudly, I married you. The hidden meaning was that no matter how much I said I didn't mean it, didn't I still marry the best? My son will definitely be able to marry a good woman like me in the future. Don't worry. She was obviously speaking in a disdainful tone, yet this fellow was actually feeling proud of himself. Su Yiyan was both angry and amused. That's because I'm thick-skinned. If it were other girls, they would have been scared away by your initial words. Thinking back to the first time they met alone, what did this guy say to her? What kind of leg can only be like this for the rest of my life and I won't be able to have children in the future? He was so honest that it was infuriating. If it wasn't for the fact that she was already dead set on marrying him, if it were any other girl, she might have really been scared away. Marrying a wife. Dream on. Is that so? Hu Qinhuan obviously also thought of the words he said to Su Yiyan when she first came to the old mansion. His eyes flashed, and he immediately leaned over, hugged Su Yiyan, and kissed her fiercely. Of course, this so-called kiss lasted a little long. When he let go, Su Yiyan's little face was still as red as a ripe peach. Humph, don't think that you can fool me by using your handsome man today. If you still do this tomorrow, you'll continue to sleep in the guest room for the next few days. The smile on Hu Qinhuan's face suddenly froze. He thought dangerously in his heart, sure enough, the kiss didn't last long enough. How could she still be in the mood to think about this? Chapter 732. When Su Yiyan was still in the Su family, she was a veritable princess. Even if the decisions she made were not immediately accepted, they would definitely be realized in the end. This fine tradition was perfectly passed down by Hu Qinhuan. The next morning, Su Yiyan got up early and had breakfast. She used the excuse of going to Ling Xiaoqi's place to see the Huahua and went out with the baby Huahua, giving the uncle and nephew, who were still at odds with each other, some private space to resolve their conflict. The gestation time of a dog was similar to that of a cat. Generally, a dog would give birth after 2 or 3 months. 10 days ago, the Huahua gave birth to 3 cute corgi puppies, 1 baby Huahua and 2 baby Dundan. Su Yiyan liked the baby Huahua very much. As soon as the puppies were born, she wanted to bring them home. However, considering that she was pregnant, it would not be easy to take care of them if she brought them home, so she left them at Ling Xiaoqi's place. In a few months, when Su Yiyan gave birth to the babies, these puppies would also grow up. Then, she would bring them home to accompany her babies. After Su Yiyan left, there was no one to smooth things over. The two men, who looked similar, sat in the hall and stared at each other, unable to say anything for a long time. Uncle Zhang was anxious and wanted to laugh at the same time. However, when he thought of Su Yiyan's instructions before she left, no matter how anxious he was, he did not step forward to smooth things over. The two of them sat like this for a long time. In the end, it was Jing Qianyang who broke the silence first. Your injury was treated by Yen Yen. It was not a question, but a confirmation. It meant that even if he was abroad, he had been paying attention to Hu Qinhuan's movements. He was not completely ignoring him. Hu Qinhuan naturally knew this. When he was first injured, he did not have the ability to protect himself. If it were not for the people Jing Qianyang left around him, he would have been killed by those demons and ghosts before he could really become strong. Yes. She's a good girl. She cured you and now, she's pregnant with your child. Jing Qianyang knew that Hu Qinhuan was unlikely to have a child because of the accident. Apart from a few people, Jing Qianyang knew about it as well. Back then, Hu Qinhuan's parents and Hu Qinhuan had met with an accident one after another. Hu Qihan's family could not be counted on. Their hospitalization procedures and follow-up treatment were basically handled by Jing Qianyang himself. Jing Qianyang knew better than anyone else what had happened to Hu Qinhuan at that time. Therefore, when Jing Qianyang found out that Hu Qinhuan's new wife was pregnant, his first reaction was not joy, but shock and anger. He felt that Su Yiyan must have cheated on Hu Qinhuan for her to be able to get pregnant. Hu Qinhuan, who was made a cuckold out of the blue. Why does everyone think that I should be made a cuckold? Do you all have some misunderstanding about my personal charm? Fortunately, although Jing Qianyang was angry, he did not act rashly. Instead, he first sent people to investigate the members of the opposite sex who had contact with Su Yiyan. In the end, after half a month of investigation, he found that the members of the opposite sex who had contact with Su Yiyan were either her company's employees or her employees' family members. Putting aside the employees, Hu Qinhuan was also present when several of her business partners met. It could be said that there was no loophole in all aspects. It was also at this time that Jing Qianyang finally believed that not only had Hu Qinhuan's legs recovered, but he had also recovered from a certain injury. He even had a child with his wife. Hearing Jing Qianyang praise Su Yiyan, Hu Qinhuan's tense expression eased a little. She said softly, "In my eyes, she's the best person in the world." Chapter 733. Jing Qianyang noticed the change in Hu Qinhuan's expression. He was gratified, but also a little disappointed. After Hu Qinhuan's parents passed away, Hu Qinhuan was his only family in this world. Originally, the two of them depended on each other and treated each other as family. Now that Hu Qinhuan had his own happy little family, Jing Qianyang was still all alone. It was inevitable that Jing Qianyang would feel a little lonely. Hu Qinhuan seemed to have noticed the vulnerability that Jing Qianyang inadvertently revealed. She suddenly realized that the man she had once admired and resented was no longer young. Time had not treated the man in front of her well. His sideburns had been stained with frost, and there were many wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. Perhaps in a few years, the straight back of the man in front of her would gradually become bent, and his mind would gradually become blurry. He would remember some people, but most of the time, he would forget some people. Realizing this, Hu Qinhuan suddenly felt that many things were not so important. Sorry. The words that had been in her mouth the day before, and she could not say no matter how hard she tried. The moment she said them, she realized that it did not seem as difficult as she had imagined. Jing Qianyang was stunned for a few seconds before he realized what Hu Chenhuan had said. His eyes suddenly widened. Some things only needed to be said once the first sentence was said, and the rest would be much simpler. When my parents died, I lost control of my emotions and made trouble for no reason. I blamed their death on you. It was my fault. Jing Qianyang's heart skipped a beat. He subconsciously called out, Chenhuan, whether my parents' death was an accident or man-made, it doesn't matter. You were not the one who hurt them, and the one who needs to pay the price for atonement is not you. Jing Qianyang was completely stunned. He hoped that he could restore his relationship with Hu Chenhuan and become family again, but he was also afraid that all this was just his wishful dream. After a long while, he finally found his voice and said with difficulty, Do you really think so? You know, it's very likely that your parents were implicated by me. Hu Chenhuan stared at Jing Qianyang for a long time and sighed softly. I've thought about it for a long time. If my parents knew that they died because of you, would they blame you? Jing Qianyang's body stiffened, and his face suddenly turned pale. No. What? The answer is no. Hu Chenhuan said with absolute certainty. Even if they knew that their deaths might have something to do with you, even if they knew that those who harmed them might be your enemies, they would not blame you. In that case, what right do I have to blame you? No. You have the right to blame me. Chenhuan's eyes as a child. Was as a child. Hu Chenhuan closed his eyes. When he opened them again, there was a hint of relief in his eyes. Yan said that you shouldn't punish yourself with other people's sins because it will only make the people who love you sad and the people who hurt you happy. I am, and so are you. Of course, Jing Qianyang knew this. But sometimes, it was easy for people to walk into a dead end. Hu Chenhuan's hateful gaze back then had become a demon that had haunted him for many years. He would even suddenly wake up from his dreams in the middle of the night. After that, he would not be able to fall asleep again. He would sit there night after night until dawn. He wanted to come back, but he didn't dare to. He was afraid that he would meet his nephew's hateful gaze the moment he came back. But now, this nephew, whom he knew he owed a lot, was telling him that none of this was his fault, and that he had stopped blaming him a long time ago. Jing Qianyang wanted to laugh, but before he could smile, his eyes had already turned red. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.